India has sharply increased the import duty on gold, a move that is set to make the yellow metal significantly more expensive for Indian buyers. Until now, after the 2024 reduction, gold import duty stood at just 6%. But from May 13, 2026, the government has more than doubled that, raising it to 15%. And the impact doesn't stop there. Once GST is added, the total tax burden on gold now jumps to nearly 18.4% compared to just 9.2% earlier. That effectively means the tax incidence on gold has doubled overnight. What does this mean for consumers? Well, a sharp jump in prices. Industry estimates suggest gold could become costlier by nearly 27,000 rupees per 10 grams because of the revised duty structure. For wedding buyers, jewellery consumers and investors, this is a major hit. The government's objective is clear: curb soaring gold imports, reduce pressure on the current account deficit and protect the rupee amidst global economic uncertainty and volatile crude prices. But there's another side to this story. India is already one of the world's largest consumers of gold. Historically, steep import duties have often triggered a rise in smuggling and unofficial gold inflows. So the big question now is, will higher taxes reduce India's appetite for gold and help stabilize the rupee? Well, joining us live is Jayajit Bhattacharya, President CDPR. Also with us is Sharat Kohli, economist. Jayajit Bhattacharya, what impact are these rise in duties going to have on the sale of gold?
Clearly, the immediate impact will be that there will be a dampening of demand. Nobody would like to pay extra taxes and increased cost for procuring any commodity, including gold. So clearly, that will be the initial reaction that will happen, which will also reduce the imports of gold and silver along with gold, which will obviously reduce in terms of the quantum of imports. And as you mentioned, that there might be a possibility of smuggling. In fact, for sure, there will be a higher incentive for smuggling because the prices, post imports and post payment of taxes is much higher than the smuggled gold. But however, that will not be in the same quantum or even a fraction of the quantum compared to what is getting reduced in terms of the imports of gold and silver. And therefore, what needs to be done immediately is to somehow dampen the demand in the country, which can only happen through increase of the taxes. And yes, there will be smuggling, but that is more of an enforcement issue and that needs to be tackled with.
Sharat Kohli, clearly, of course, this increased gold import duty, what is it going to mean for consumers and investors in gold?
Well, good evening, Uday, to you, Dr. Bhattacharya, and the viewers. I think, I view it with a slightly different angle. I feel when Prime Minister came a couple of days ago to make the appeal to people of the country that don't buy gold for 1 year, so I thought that would have a larger impact as far as the jewelry market is concerned. Because we saw on 28th of January, gold going up to $5,602 in Indian rupees to 1,80,000 to 82,000 rupees. And even at that time, gold imports increased. In fact, when gold rises or when the price rises, people tend to, by psychology, invest more. We imported about $72 billion of gold in the financial year 25-26, Uday. In the year prior to that, which is 24-25, we imported about $58 billion. And the year still prior to that, 22-23, we imported $45 billion. So you see, consistently, over the last 3 years, gold imports have been increasing, and so has been the price. So typically, as an investor, when the price increases, more and more people join the party. Because, like, for example, today, when this announcement was made in the morning that 15%, it now goes up from 6%, the price of gold suddenly rose on MCX by 9,000 rupees. And I found a lot of flutter in the investors because they were waiting for this big rise for a number of weeks, I would say, ever since the war started. And there was a crude oil price hike. Because of that, the dollar index went up. Then the bond yields in America went up, which led to short contracts on COMEX in America. So there was a chain reaction because of this. Gold and silver were under pressure. They were down at when the war was at peak. It went down to almost $4,000 at one point of time, 1,20,000. But then it gradually rose. So when the price rises, people join the party. I feel Prime Minister's call may have a greater impact than the custom duty. In fact, custom duty, I always thought this was in the offing because when people ask me that will Prime Minister's appeal have any impact, will people, I say he's the biggest brand ambassador of the country. He asks people to play Thali, they play Thali. He asks people to light diyas, they do that. A small Jhalmuri in West Bengal, probably played its role in winning BJP winning the election. So easy. Whatever he does, people emulate. So I think Prime Minister's appeal carries more weightage. Custom duty or import duty, this will bring more revenue to the government.
Yes.
But gold import, because jewelry market in India, Uday, is very, very big. So I think temporarily there will be a blip for some time.
Okay.
But eventually people get used to that price. So long term, I really don't see any impact.
All right.